Welcome to the Top Secret Wedding Podcast. Our quick tip for today is that you should be looking through your website, I would say at least monthly.
Yeah, make sure there's no errors.
Yep.
Want to learn how to make a good business website or make your business website better? Listen to this episode. This is the Top Secret Wedding Podcast, where we share top secret tips to help you take your wedding game to the next level.
I'm Annika, and I'm a wedding coordinator, enthusiast, and venue manager for one of the best venues in Idaho.
I'm Chris, and I'm a DJ, master of ceremonies, and all-around lover of weddings.
We're on a mission to improve weddings and wedding professionals everywhere.
So on this episode, we're going to talk about another aspect of marketing. We're going to talk about your website and why websites are important and some do's and don'ts and things like that. So let's start with why. I don't think I wrote anything about it here, but let's start.
Why have a website?
Why have a website?
Okay, actually, I'm really passionate about having a website.
Okay.
Because there is nothing I hate more. Like, if I go to refer a vendor to a client, they want to see a website. They want to see a portfolio of the work before they have to get in contact, you know?
Right.
If I just say, hey, here is this videographer. He's amazing. Here's his phone number.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's just nowadays, but I'm not one to just call up a phone number and be like, hi, I hear you're a good videographer. Like, a website helps give the trust and understanding of, hey, this person's legit. It's not just someone who does it for funsies as a hobby or something. Like, they're legit. So it helps give accreditation. It also helps show as a portfolio. And yeah, I don't know.
I think, on social, and we'll do another episode on socials, but on socials, people kind of go to see your vibe, see your work, see your personality, but they go to your website to see if you're legitimate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So make sure that you have a website. So let's talk about any other thoughts on that.
Well, I guess just a lot of times I feel like vendors do tend to be like, oh, well, I'm on Instagram and that's good. But what happens when grandma is paying for the wedding and she's not familiar with Instagram and she's like, well, who is this person? Again, it just helps give the legitimateness of the business.
And let's say that there are two photographers. They're both really good in quality. Their price point's about the same. If one has a website and the other one doesn't, likely the person with the website is going to get the business.
Yeah, well, and I think too, a website's just such a good place to display all information. You know, again, you go to Instagram for the vibe and some of the portfolio, but the website is where you get all the information.
Yep. Yeah. Yep, totally. So let's talk about some specifics about, let's first talk the platforms that you can put it on. I'd say the most popular are Wix, Weebly, and WordPress. Those are the most popular. Wix is probably the most popular among wedding vendors.
Probably. It's what I use.
Yeah.
So
it looks good. It does a pretty good job with SEO. It's pretty easy to use. Yeah. So I'd say Wix is probably for most people the best option. And if you want to sponsor us, Wix, you can reach out to us.
Yeah.
Weebly's good too. It's similar, just not quite as popular as Wix. The last one is WordPress, which I say is much more difficult to use if you don't have that background, but it has a lot more flexibility. So if you want to do other specific things, then WordPress is going to give you that flexibility.
Yep. I will say because our website's on WordPress.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I just do not have the capacity in my brain right now.
There's just a lot.
And I was like, I don't understand this. Wix is very user friendly.
Yep.
WordPress, I'm sure, is great once you learn it.
Yeah, it's great. But it's
I was very like, oh, well, Chris can deal with that.
Yeah. So that's that. Let's talk about the basics of what you should have on your website. I think the essentials, and they should be displayed prominently.
Yeah.
The name of your business.
Yep.
I think also your name. And
there is nothing I hate more than when I am looking and like, hey, like there's this great company, and even if it's a name and there's only one, I'm gonna go back to photographers. We love you, photographers, but there's only one photographer, and I'm like, well, what's their name?
Right.
I hate searching for a name.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Just tell me your name.
Say, hi, I'm so-and-so. Like, tell me your name.
I was listening to a podcast yesterday about, it was with Megan Ely and Terica. And Terica said something along the lines of like, you need to show up online. You need to show your face, show your name, because people are doing business with people, not just some random company.
Yes. So agreed.
Make sure you have your name on there. And if you've got your team, then you can decide to put your team or not, but make sure at least your, as the business owner, name is on there.
Yes.
Second, you need your services on there.
Gotta know what you do.
I mean,
Basics.
Put your services on there. Third, location. This is a big pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, this is so important.
Yeah, because so often you go to a website to see, okay, so here's what happens. Since I reach out to photographers, usually I get the photographer's name from the client. They don't always have like their phone number. And so sometimes I'll search their name on Google and I'll come up with 3 different photographers. And none of them list the location. So I don't know if I'm contacting a photographer in Florida, California, or Idaho. And I don't know which one it actually is, because maybe it's the one in Florida, but they happen to do destination. So make sure that you have your actual location on there. And that's only going to help your SEO, by the way.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yep.
You also need to have contact information. And like, make sure you have a phone number. Like, there are people who want to just, like, talk to you. And so if all you have is the contact box, it's just going to bring frustration because they want to talk to an actual human.
Yep.
So.
Side tip. If you don't want to give out your personal number, fine. Sign up for a Google Voice number.
Google Voice, that's great.
That's what I have for all of my business stuff. It's all in a separate Google Voice account, which forwards to my actual phone. And it's free. 100% free.
Yep.
Text messages can be backed up to your email, so you can search them from your email.
Yep.
It's a great way to do it. And that way, if they text you, then you can text them back from that number. If they call you, you can set business hours too.
Yeah.
But if they call you, you don't have to answer it right away. You can call them back at your leisure. So it just make sure you have some way for the people who want to contact you by phone. Make sure you give everybody an opportunity to contact you.
Yeah.
Don't hide it.
Yeah. And I will say, too, in this day and age, it's so important if you have a phone number listed that it's textable.
Yeah.
Because there have been times when I was with a previous whatever, and people would be like, well, I texted and I never heard back. And, well, it's basically a landline. Like, and so nowadays everyone's so quick to text.
Yeah.
And so you got to make sure it's textable, even if that's not your preferred method.
Yep.
You at least get the messages, and then you're like, oh, this actually isn't really a texting.
Right, yeah, but, call back or whatever.
Yeah. But, yeah.
So, include your phone number.
Include your phone number.
Also include your socials. I would argue that you should put your socials on the top of your webpage and the bottom of your webpage.
Agreed.
Yep.
Agreed.
Just make sure people can get to them.
Yep.
Next, pictures. Make sure you have pictures and possibly video of what you do.
Yeah, again, it's kind of your portfolio. And, and I mean, too, like, this all dives into SEO, but the more pictures you have, people like looking at pictures. They love watching videos. And that's just going to help your SEO with the longer the client stays on the page.
Yep.
So
true. And try not to use stock photos. Try and get pictures.
Yes.
Even if they're slightly lower quality, but they're of your actual work, that's going to sell much more than stock photos because people can tell.
Yep, people can tell.
Yep. FAQs, I actually don't have this on my website, but I've been thinking about adding it. Yeah, I think it's a good idea because people are going to be like, but what about this? And if you have that question on your website.
I love my FAQ page.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing too is, again, most times when people are looking at your website, they are researching. They are looking at every aspect. If they're considering booking you, they're going to look through every aspect of your website. And you can save yourself so much time by having an FAQ to answer those questions that are always asked.
Yeah. Okay. I'll add it.
Yeah.
I'll add it to my website.
You need to add it.
Next, selling the experience, not the stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know have you ever heard the phrase "sell the sizzle"? You ever heard that? Yeah, sell the sizzle. Because when you walk into a restaurant and you hear like right, the steak getting
the fajitas walk by.
Dude, that's what you want, right? You don't care about the burners that they're using,
right?
Yeah, so make sure that you are selling the experience that you want to give to clients. So read through your website and make sure that you're not just talking about like, I use a Canon 5D. Like, okay, nobody cares.
Right.
Photos.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
So, an about page.
An about page is good. I will say recently, so I do have an about page.
Yeah.
On my tab of menu, it's towards the end.
Yeah, Yep. I think that's good.
So I think there's some people who do, they want it sooner, but ultimately, again, selling the result, they're going to be looking for A, B, and C way before they look for the about.
Yeah.
Again, when they are looking at considering booking you and they are in the trenches of your website, they will find the about and they'll love it. But it's so important. It needs to be there, but it doesn't need to be front page.
Yep. I agree. And I also think the more I think about it, maybe it also depends on the type of vendor that you are.
Agreed.
Because maybe somebody's looking for a personality in a photographer, a personality in a hair and makeup artist, right?
Yeah. But make sure it's easy to find the about, because again, if they're looking for a certain personality, they're going to be looking for the about page.
Yep.
So
know your audience.
Yep.
I think, well, let's talk about, let me add this before we talk about the next
thing. You're good.
I think also it's important, and this goes to SEO, which I guess we're going to talk about later, but you should have links to different parts in your site in the body of the site, right?
1,000%. Yep.
Yeah. So if you're in the body of the site, you're talking about we're an amazing venue and we have all these things, and we were founded by these people. You should have an about link to who it was founded by, right?
Yep.
For SEO purposes, it's a good thing. So just look through and see if there are any obvious places that you can put a link to other places in your site. It's a good thing. Okay.
Your own address from the beginning.
Yep. From the very beginning. So what we're talking about is if you sign up for a Wix website specifically.
I got you.
Yeah.
I didn't know what this was.
It's like labellake.wix.com.
Yeah.
So one, it doesn't look like you're totally legitimate.
Yeah. Agreed.
And it doesn't cost that much money.
No, it doesn't.
You book one wedding and it'll pay for the year, basically.
Yeah.
So, and if it doesn't, raise your prices, please. So that's I think really essential because A, it makes you look more professional, and B, if you have links from other people, let's say a photographer does a blog and they list all the vendors, and they list to your Wix website. If you then change later down the road, it's going to break that link. And that's going to be no good for many reasons. So make sure from the beginning that you have your own address. It's not that much, and I know that it's an extra cost, but it's worth it.
It's worth it.
Also, make sure that you have an email that's at your website.
Yes. Agreed. I mean, using Labelle for an example, you don't necessarily want labellake@gmail.com. It's just, again, it builds that trust and that they're legit.
Yeah.
Our email is events@labellake.com.
Yep.
And that's they're legit. So.
Yeah. Just think about if you're emailing a company.
Yeah.
Would you rather, who do you trust more? jimsphoto@gmail.com or jim@jimsphoto.com?
Right.
It's a slight difference, but it changes.
But
what do you think?
Yeah, it makes a difference. So
let's talk about SEO.
Love it.
We'll just go through this quickly.
Yeah.
1, separate pages for separate services or ideas. So if you have videography and photography, those should be on separate pages for SEO purposes.
Agreed.
You can mention both of them on your homepage, but you should have the details on separate photography pages, a separate videography page.
Yep.
Most important information should be near the top. So you should have what your services are, your location near the top of the page. And it should be in an H1 tag.
Yep.
Look that up. If you've got Wix, then yeah. Number 3 here, keywords are really important. If you aren't familiar with keywords keywords are basically just what people type into Google to find your website. So for me, it'd be like DJ in Idaho, wedding DJ in Idaho. You need to make sure you have those terms, literally wedding DJ in Idaho, on your website. If you do that, it will make it easier for Google to send clients your way. But don't keyword stuff, meaning don't just throw all the possible keywords that you could possibly have on your website. Google sees that as like, nah, no thanks. And this used to be a common practice. Like if you would look at the bottom, and still some websites do it. If you look at the bottom of some websites, they say, we serve our clients in, and then it has like a huge long paragraph of every single possible city that they could have. Google sees that and basically ignores that. It's like, no, I see what you're trying to do. So those are our quick SEO tips. Next,
you got to have a call to action on your website. You know, you've done the hard part. You've gotten the client on your website. Now what?
Yeah.
Now what do they do?
Yeah. Make sure that you are getting people to actually contact you.
Yeah, and don't make it rocket science. Don't make them have to search for, okay, well, how do I contact them?
Right.
Make it so stupid easy that it's not even a question. You know, let's get in touch. Here's a contact box. You know, want more info, whatever. Like make a call to action so that it's foolproof of, oh, this is what I need to do.
And I would say by extension, you should also make it pretty clear what that contact is going to result in.
Yes.
Right. So if your contact form is basically to set up a consultation, you should say that that's what it is. If it's to sign up for a mailing list, you should say that that's what it is, because people don't want to give their information out unless they know what they're getting.
Yep. Agreed.
Put contact boxes all over the place and put links that go to those contact boxes all over the place.
Yep.
So I generally say contact box at the bottom of every single page and put links to go to that anchor. You can look that up in your Wix or WordPress. That'll go to that anchor on all over the place.
Yep.
So make sure that the above the fold, this is just the last tip that we'll give, but make sure that above the fold is really good, meaning as soon as you land on the website, what people see without scrolling or clicking on anything. Make sure that above the fold is really, really good so that people actually want to see the rest of the website. If it's not good, make sure that you're viewing it on your mobile device. Make sure you're viewing it on a tablet, on a computer, on a large screen, so that everywhere you go, it's going to look how you want it to look.
Please, please, please look at it on mobile. That is, like, honestly, I don't know the statistic, but probably like 90% of people are looking at it on their phone. You could have this beautiful website on a desktop, and then it looks completely horrendous on your phone. Please look at it on a phone.
Yeah. And by the way, Google looks at the mobile version of your site primarily for SEO purposes.
Yeah.
So if it looks terrible on your mobile phone, Google knows that, and it does not help your rankings. So
yeah.
So that's our quick episode on websites. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us anytime. And just go through your website, see if there's anything you can beef up, that you can fix, that you can make it just a little bit better. And you should be doing that every few months anyways. So I hope you have a great website. If we can help at all, let us know.
Let us know.
All right, see ya.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Top Secret Wedding Podcast.
Subscribe, rate, and review us, and we'll see you next time.